Welcome back, everybody, to Unconditional Surrender in Europe, designed by Salvatore Vasta, published by GMT Games. This is the East First campaign series. We will be going into July of 1941. The Russians did survive the summer of 1940. Just to give you an idea, I'm back. He's already breached the Don, just south of Moscow. He's taken Rostov last turn, Tula, Rezev, or Varennes here. Ryazan I still hold, and I think that's about it. I'm down to 10 willpower, I believe. Double check. Yes, the Russians are down to 10 willpower. Since it's July, we know what the weather's going to be, so we'll just kind of go forward here. Now, here he started to think that he was going to declare war on the West. So I started moving sorts of stuff around on the turn track. And then when we get here to the end, and he realized when things were going to suddenly happen, when he saw that was going to happen, that I get 40 willpower, he said, oh, no, I don't want that. So let's go back in time and not declare war on them and just move on. So the war is going to go on for an extra year, but he wanted to make sure he took out Russia because he wanted to be able to do something about the West with his army, which I totally understand. I probably would have been the same way. Where are we at? So we're in the economy phases. Just moving stuff around. So we got into strategic warfare, and he didn't have anything to play, and I figured the Russians are probably going down this turn, so I was going to get at least one shot on the Germans. I had asked Sal specifically that if Russia collapses and the Germans, would be at like, say, 2 lost factories, would their factory loss marker stay on the turn track? And he says, yes, it does. So even collapsing Russia, even though you're not at war with the Western faction, will not get rid of that factory loss marker for the Germans. So it will stay there, and they wouldn't have been able to move it. So I was hoping, well, if he takes me out this turn and I get this down to a 2, get him down 2 factories, that's that much less that he has to work with in the West. So it seemed to be a good idea. So that's what I did. He managed to roll a 1, so 1 plus 1. Oh, I don't have my little boxes for you. Sorry. So he got a 2, and I'm like, oh, good. He's halved down to a 1. And I managed to roll a 1. Thank God I had a plus 2, because that put me up to a 3, and a 3 to a 1 means that he goes down to 2 lost factories. So I was like, yay, maybe I'm, going to cut into the German ability to deal with France. And then my partisans came back in 4 turns, which, it's like, yeah, so what? I'm not going to be around. Even if I survived this first fair weather turn, I would never survive 3 of them with only 10 willpower. I need the allies to come in. So now my goal with the Soviets, is he moving over here? He took off his strategic move marker and just put it in the events box. I went ahead and did the Soviet one. The West didn't have one. And I took it off Yaroslav and then put it on this guy that's in front of the Nor army. I started counting armies that he could kill, to get his 10 points. And I was like, I really probably need to try and make one be further away. And then we went into operations. And I believe he starts here in the north. Yes, he does. So we'll zoom in for some dramatic effect for you guys. Started off with this armored unit. Moved him up. Attacked this guy. Trying to get a retreat so he can take Bologoya. There's 2 to move there and 3 to attack me. Left him with 5 points. We get to this point here, I'm pretty sure we're going to go into combat commitment. And we both commit, of course. This is like critical battles here. So I threw my tanks, and we both threw in airplanes. He's at -3, and I'm at -4. So if he rolls a 6, he gets 2. He can get 2 sorties on me. Actually, he's at -2, so he doesn't need to roll a 6. He needs to roll a 5 or 6. He rolled a 2, so it didn't matter. We each took 1 sortie. So he had +5, I had +4. The idea here was I was trying to not lose an army. You know, worst I get retreated, then maybe I can, hang on for a little while. Losing some cities might be okay if I can end up with at least 2 for the end of the turn. That's my goal. I have to have at least 1 will point left at the end of July. If I do, then I get a 50-50 shot of the West activating. And if they activate from from this thing, it's under the Urals marker, the policy evaluation. If they activate from the policy evaluation, which if you flip it over, it says 1 to 3 next turn, 4 to 6 it ends. If they would show up, I roll a 4, 5, or 6, I immediately get 40 willpower for the Russians, which would be, devastating to the Germans. So that's kind of what I was hoping for here. And then he managed to roll a 1. And I missed it by 1. If you look at the combat results table, he had a total of 5, 6, right? And I had 8. 6 to 8 is still a diamond. If I'd have rolled a 5, it would have stopped his attack dead in its tracks, but it didn't. So we went on to this. Now I knew he wouldn't have any more attacks with that armored unit this turn. So I believe when we go to combat commitment, we both commit. And at this point, we both threw in airplanes. So it, didn't matter because we were both at 5. We both would take 1. And I let him go after me at 5 to 2. And he rolled a 2. +5 is a 7. Pretty good die roll. And I managed to roll a 5. With my +2, I matched him, so I held my ground. So then, being discouraged, he decided that he needed to attack here in the south a little bit. And I missed this completely with my Russians. I just didn't realize he could. Didn't see the map properly. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and he's attacking Razan. He doesn't have anything in range. I threw my tanks, and I have an airplane out here in the special reserve area for the Russians, places where restricted USSR, the Germans can't touch me here. So I added 4. He was at +3, and I was at going backwards. And I was at +4. Then he rolled a 6, +3, and I rolled a 6, +4. I was like, yay, I stopped him. And, of course, he went ahead and did the attack again. So he's... and I threw in my airplane, but I did not throw in another tanks because I only had 1 left. And I wasn't sure if there wasn't going to be a more critical battle. And he managed to roll a 6, +3 was a 9, and I only rolled a 4. So I was retreated. So I did get to go behind the river for defense purposes, but so I lose 2 willpower. So I'm down to 8. Then he goes this direction, and this is something I just didn't see coming. I just said, go ahead, I'll retreat. And he got a 7 to my 2, so not only was I retreated, but I was flipped. He thought about taking the city and said, no, wait, let me go here. And then he wanted to attack southward, which kind of made sense because the guy can't retreat. He can get a point there, right? And I had to go with, I didn't think the tank was worth spending here. I was trying to save it for a city someplace. He rolled a 3 + 3 is a 6, and I rolled a 6. So I made him attack again. He rolled a 3, and I rolled a 5. So I said, aha, I stopped you. And then he figured out how to move this infantry unit the right way. And he attacked across the river, so he started off at 0. +2 for German, -1 for river, -1 for the city. And he only had 2 movement points left after that because it's 1, 2 to get there. And then it was 3 for the river, 4, 5 for the city, 6 for the guy. So just so you know why he's down to so low. And we're doing combat commitment here. And we both committed. And he went whole hog. He threw his airplane and his tanks marker in, I believe. So he was at +4 to my +2, and he got a 6. +4 was a 10, and I managed to only get a 4. A 4 on the combat result table against 10 is a DD. So he managed to take it with an infantry unit. So not only did I lose 1 for the infantry unit, then when he takes the city, I lose 1 for the, 2 more. So now I'm down to 7. Or now down to 5, sorry. And then he had this garrison unit attack this infantry. He starts off at 0, or he starts off at 2, threw in his airplane to make it go up to 4. He starts off at 0, should be -1. Yeah, it's +3. Oh, I guess we went down to the... Yeah, he's +3 to my 0. He rolled a 9. Left him, made sure he had his right number of movement points left. And I rolled a 2. A 9 to a 2, again, on the combat results table. A 9 to a 2 is a DD, which is all he needed. And poof, another infantry unit is gone, and my will's down to 4. 2 cities, 4 units, or some combination thereof. That's what he's looking for. He can't quite reach Moscow, so he's got to figure out a way to take 2 cities, and then the move takes 1 of them. So now I'm down to my last 2 will points. So all he needs to do is take a city someplace or kill 2 Russian ground units. Second garrison. Oh, we moved him out of the way so I could get my airplane out of there. I think I ended up putting it in there. Blaga. Now he activated this infantry unit and decided to go across the river. It's basically 0 to 0, so he's just trying to outroll me. He rolled a 5 and I rolled a 4, so that held. And he did it again because it cost 4 movement points to go across. 1 for the river, 2 for the city, 1 for the guy. And he rolled a 3 this time and I rolled a 2. So I managed to hang on. Excuse me, I'm going to take a quick drink here. So I didn't get, collapsed by that attack. So now he tries to get through with the German 1st Garrison unit here. He's attacking basically at 0 to 0. Or no, he moved out. That's what he did. He moved that out and then him there. So it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. He had 1 good attack. Got +1 to 0. Rolled a 4 and I rolled a 6. So we just stopped that. So the northern offensive came to a screeching halt after he captured Bologoye and killed 2 infantry units. He'd taken Ryazan here in the center. So down 6 points when I started at 10. No, I'm down 8 points. 2 units and 3 cities. I really did not see him taking those 3 cities. I thought Rezev here, out here, 2850, I think, 2050. I really didn't think that he could take that hex with that infantry unit alone. I thought he had to get an armor to break through, and he took it. So I was in sort of a bit of shock here. So now he's trying to kill those last 2 units because he really doesn't have any cities he can run to. Stalingrad's too far, and so is Saratov. He'd have to clear out both of these units on either side of him to get the Africa army to be able to move that far. So he's trying to do something like that. He's +2 to 0. He rolled a 1. I rolled a 2. So he did it again. He got a 6 to my 5. So I'm starting to match him, and then he got a 4 to my 5. So I managed to hold out the entire time. 4 attacks, and I managed to match his die rolls just barely enough. Then he moved the Africa army up, and I wasn't quite sure what he was trying to do. He moved up to take that unit. I think he was trying to get it so that this guy would be isolated or something, but he couldn't be isolated based on what was there. So he attacked me at 0. Again, -1 for the woods, -1 for the river. Rolled a 4. I rolled a 5. So that ended that attack. 3. He attacked with ground support across the river so that it would be 0. I don't know why I let him have +1 on that. Should have been at a 0. But he rolled a 1. Oh, he did. I had the modifier at 0. So he rolled a 1 and I rolled a 3, so like nothing happened. And then this was his die roll for his ground support. Again, he's rolling the attacker die rather than the non-modified die rolls. So he's not going to see that for a while. Then I think we're going to have some German infantry move up here and make one more attack. He's trying to break through here and clear a path for him to run to Sarat. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I don't think he can get there myself. So he had a +1, so he rolled a 6. I rolled a 2, so he got a flipped and retreated me. So then he went ahead and took this infantry unit and moved down to attack at +2 to -2. I should have been at -2. Either way, it would have been only a retreat. And then he... alarms going off again. And then he, advanced after combat. He's trying to kill that unit, obviously. And attacked again. Did we ever get around to making me -2? And again, he rolled a 3. Even if I forgot to put in my -2 here. But even in both cases, a 5 to the 1 was a retreat, and a 3 to a 1. We didn't retreat him this time, though, did we? And so now he could attack here at +3. And he didn't do it. I didn't understand why he didn't attack across the river and take the guy out with isolation. Or did he? I think he went back and said, no, we'll just do this. +3 to 0. He rolled a 7 to my 5, so I managed to live for one combat. He got another attack. Got an 8 to my 5, which forced a retreat, which forced me to retreat to... then he went in there at... So he's +2, -1, so he's +1 and +1 for his last ground support. I'm at -2, and he rolled a 5, and I managed to roll a 1, so he eliminated that guy, and my national will is now down to 1. So now he's looking to figure out some way to kill one more unit, and he's basically run out of guys that can get anywhere to do it, because this guy is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's no way to get to this flipped guy, and he really doesn't have... I mean, he's got... I think he's going to do this attack in the center. Somewhere. Oh yeah, he rolled a 4 for his ground support. I have no idea what he's doing. Oh, he's attacking with the 3rd Panzer to try and dislodge this guy. This, I think, is a mistake, because he brings the armor across to kill him. He's trying to get like a +4 to a 0, thinking he can get a good result. I think I would have gone +2 to 0 twice here, and then +1 to 0 3 times, and gone after the 45th Southeast Moscow. I think that might have worked out better for him. But as it was, that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So he has 4 movement points left. He's got 3 attacks on this guy. And then he rolls a 1, so that's a 5 to my 2. So I'm retreated. He takes the hex and attacks again. He gets a 7 to my 6, so I actually hold the hex. And why did he? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I think he should have actually had another attack there. Maybe he went across the river instead of... And then he just stopped. He said, I'm not going to get it. I'm going to quit while I still have myself in a semi-decent line. Like the Russians can actually do any kind of counterattack here. And that was it. I mean, that saved the Russians. And here, what did I do? I'm moving the first French tanks army up. So I backed up my line, figuring he's going to be coming after me probably sometime in this summer. Did my supply of my British, kept everybody open and ready. The Russians... I was trying to figure out where to put the guy in Yaroslav, I think. So I ran these guys away. Not really, assuming with as many fair weather attacks as he's going to have, I'm not going to stop him. So what I'm trying to do here is at this point, because I know how I've had it collapse in 3 of my last 4 games. This is my 5th, and I also have a 6th going on right now. I've had Russia collapsed 3 out of 4 times. No matter what defense I've used with the Russians or my friends have used with the Russians, the Germans managed to pull off a collapse in the 2nd year. It just seems to be something that we're doing terribly, terribly wrong with the Russians, and we haven't figured out what it is. Unfortunately, I didn't have vlogs of those games because I didn't think about it, especially since I hadn't been doing videos very much. So I wish I would have had vlogs of that so I could show everyone how this works. The 41 to 42 type conquest of Russia. This is a 40 to 41 that you're going to see happen here. What I'm doing is I'm basically getting all the Russian armies as far away from the Germans as I can and still make them have to fight, at least in one place, to take me out. The reason for this is... Okay, and then I'm done. The reason for that is when he collapses Russia, everything that's face down gets eliminated. And then everything that's face up will get flipped. So when you see that happen, I think it happens in the next video, you'll understand why I did what I did. Now we're doing replacements. I'm not sure what the Germans did here. I think the Germans might not have... 2045 was the one in the north. Yeah, he flipped down this one, left these two. Were too far behind to matter at this point. He knew I only had to get 1 point, and he figured he had an easy kill right here by throwing an airplane in there. So he just said, never mind. I'll just be able to go into the Diplomacy Cup this turn. And then the Russians are doing their... I mean, they have no reason to preserve things. The Germans... Why did we take it down to 0? Well, I guess he did go ahead and make his airplanes come up. Or something. I'm not sure what's going on. I guess he did take down 2 airplanes and it didn't have any points left. Right? Is that what's going on? Yeah. No points left. I flipped over 2 infantry units, and then I think I flipped up 2 airplanes. No, I guess I flipped up all my airplanes. I don't know why I did that. That was very dumb on my part, because that means the Russians couldn't pull. I could have had one more pull with the Russians here, but I didn't do it. So we went into upgrades, mobilization. So right now the only one who's going to play in the Diplomacy Cup are the British. Then I built, I think, the last unit I had. Building. In Saratova or whatever. And 1 in Kalinin. So I had all my armies back on the board. Set everything. Then we went into the Diplomacy Cup. Pretty sure Axis can't do anything. The British went ahead and spent their 5. And they pulled a political success. So, needless to say, I'm pretty sure that I took out, made the pro-Axis Italians not be pro-Axis anymore. So I'm doing pretty good here, at least the way I'm thinking of it. You get to end return phase. We put back all the events. The Urals factories went up another one. And then this was the most important die roll of the game. And it came up a 3. This die roll that you see me rolling right there, if I roll 4, 5, or 6 on that die roll, the West comes in and USSR would suddenly get 40 will points and would end up being sitting at 41 at the beginning of the next turn. Instead, I rolled a 3, so I pulled out the appeasement packs thing because I knew it was going to end in July 42. I think at a later time I put it back because just to be in proper form. And the policy evaluation marker, we didn't move to the next turn, so we correct that before the next turn as well. So, there you have it. Axis almost came close to taking them out in July. They are guaranteed pretty much to take him out in August because I just can't stop him. I kind of resigned myself to the fact that I'm not going to be able to stop him. I'm trying to keep him from going around and like flipping a bunch of Russian units before he takes me out so that I lose more units completely. In the case of Russian infantry, it doesn't really matter because they always come back face up. So it's really a waste of resources on his part to do that. I thought I might see him, try to run a unit to the west like immediately. 7, 8. Where was the one that I thought he could run? Oh, he could have like run some of these infantry units in the north once he's ready to take out this. He could run some of these units back into Estonia or something, but he's just a little too deep into Russia to be able to run anybody out of the Russian zone, so they're going to be doing a whole bunch of repatriation. That's what it was. Okay. So, anyway, that is July of 1941. I'm Dren608. If you like my videos, please subscribe. Please hit that like button so that the algorithm in YouTube will keep these videos up for everybody to look at. And we will be back with the August 1941 turn next time. Until then, everybody stay safe, and bye-bye.